This video will contain spoilers for the Shaman King 2021 anime as well as the manga. Your guardian ghost has warned you. Chocolove Mcdonnel, or Joco in the English translation, is an African-American shaman from New York City. He strives to be a comedian as a means to make up for his brutal past. He appears in the Traveling Through America arc of Shaman King, and both versions in 2001 and 2021, there are numerous differences, but I love both of them. So at the end of this, or near the end, I'm gonna ask myself and you all, which version did you prefer? So be sure to comment down below. Now, both were introduced immediately after Lyserg's departure, but due to how the 2001 and the 2021 version handled Lyserg, the circumstances of Chocolove's introduction had a different feel to it, a different emotional weight between the two. In 2001, he debuted at the tail end of the arc, but somehow he slotted in perfectly within Yo's group, and you heard me right, he fits in perfectly. We go into great detail in the Shaman King 2001 Part 3 review, but it's about the looseness of the group, the freedom each of the members represent within the group. But with the 2001 anime, Lyserg backstabbed them and everyone was shocked, Ryu being the most hurt. So with Chocolove's debut at that time, he was entering into a very hostile environment, both from an in-universe and an audience perspective. For example, the crew didn't want anyone new. They just said get lost. They were in a bad mood, and we as an audience were pissed off at Lyserg's betrayal. We're like, ah, man, why are you trusting these people? And look what happened to you, yo. Don't get these people into the fold. Comparing that to the 2021 version, Lyserg didn't backstab the team in front of everyone like he did in 2001. He just quietly disappeared. After they entered Patch Village, he literally ghosted them. So the team weren't as torn up, nor was there any real bad blood like there was in 2001. They saw him walk away. They saw him turn his back towards them. To be honest, you didn't hate Lyserg as much in the manga or the 2021 version. So Chocolove had a different feel to the audience. Because in 2001, when Chocolove proved his worth to the team by being a great navigator using his sense of smell and hearing, he's also quite strong, and we accepted him with open arms due to the massive hurtful hole left from that idiot that is Lyserg Daifu's betrayal. Although he had to really work hard initially to gain their trust, afterwards he earned his right to become a beloved member of the team. Now in the manga and the 2021 version, it was a little bit more spontaneous and lacking emotional weight at first, because it is at first. Everything changes later on. Remember, this was anime only content, so there's major discrepancies within the events that transpire. One of which is Chocolove's backstory. In the 2001 version is very simple. He was already a student of the old man Orona. We see Orona stopping a hostage situation as Chocolove looks on in awe. Then shortly afterwards, during the night, Orona gives Chocolove a pep talk about how he should save the world with laughter, and he passes Mick onto him before passing away. That was covered all in 2 minutes. Moving forward, we don't really learn more about Chocolove's character, and his value to the story hits a plateau. Although he has 1 or 2 more moments to shine, but again, they're nowhere near as major as his initial introduction and then his backstory. His backstory in 2021 is completely different. It's so meaty and so very sad. Chocolove's parents were murdered on Christmas Day. He then murdered supposedly a random guy on another Christmas Day after joining a gang called Shaft. That murder makes him remember his parents, and then he meets this old man Orona, a traveling comedian who also happens to be a shaman. The old man is like, yo mate, you need to relax and laugh. At which point Chocolove tells him, get lost, and he starts shooting at him. The old man is somehow able to subdue him, but Chocolove takes note of the old man's statement of wanting to make the world laugh, and that makes Chocolove laugh. This is the first time in the story that we see him as he's chuckling away to himself about a seemingly impossible dream. That's the best thing about it. It felt so relatable. It felt so subtle. He wasn't making a big stride or change to his character at that point. It is very funny to see the contrast of the initial introduction of Shaft member remember Chocolove to where we are right now. Here's a kid who's been involved in a gang, in a culture which has made him so jaded and get such a cynical view on the world. No family, and he thinks he has friends, but end of the day, they're just using him as most gangs do. It only takes one person to spark the goodness and light up the potential in a person. But as things get better, you have to cut out the bad. Unfortunately for Chocolove, the members of Shaft, the gang he was in, they don't take too nicely about him leaving the gang and his newfound life. They murdered his mentor in front of his eyes. But before they did, Orona kept reassuring Chocolove to never give in to rage and blow them away with laughter. It was emotional to see Chocolove smile with tears running down his face as he quelled his anger for the sake of laughter. It was heavy. That's the main difference between the two versions. The level of tragedy and the consequences associated with the tragedy differs between the 2001 and the manga/2021 version. But both of these characters, both iterations of these characters share that they tackle heartfelt grieving situations with hope and laughter. Further in the 2001 series, Chocolove gets his giant oversoul, and there's an episode where he frees a little girl Nyorai from her own darkness. Obviously, this was anime only, and Nyorai is an homage or a mix of Sati from the Gandhara group and Seiram, who we will be talking about shortly. Chocolove saved her and invited her to the group so that she can make friends and laugh. This is the essence of his character. The story beats are similar, but much heavier in the original manga version of his character. In the second round of the shaman fight, in the manga, there are these two little kids who are in the tournament with their guardian golem that has immense power. They are key to the story, but that is for another video. What is important is how they were weaved into the story. The boy Red Seb and the girl Seiram are children of Dr. Munza, who happens to be the guy Chocolove murdered on Christmas Day whilst he was part of Shaft. This story addresses a common theme in Shaman King: rage cannot redeem. Red Seb is enraged and he wants revenge on Chocolove. In trying to fix the situation, Chocolove is killed. He then goes through a trial in hell whereby he unlocks great new powers and becomes one of the strongest in the group. He also becomes one of the 5 elemental warriors, rightfully wielding the spirit of wind to complement his mantra about the winds of laughter. However, when Chocolove returns to the world of the living, he gave up something in order to understand the feelings of this little girl Seiram, the daughter of the man he murdered in cold blood, the girl who closed her heart because of the immense grief that she felt. Chocolove sacrificed his sight so that he can try and understand her just a little bit more. It was a touching way to apologize for something that is very hard to forgive. As I said, the 2021 version is very heavy. It shares the same character beats as the 2001 anime-only version, but amplifies them tenfold because of the tragic backstory and his decision to give up his sight. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Chocolove's appearance. In the manga and 2001 version, he was depicted to have thick donut lips as they are known, whereas in the 2021 anime version, as well as the later revisions of the manga, he's shown to have smaller and less thick lips. The name Chocolove is referenced in the 2001 anime by Ren, questioning if it even is a real name. Obviously, it's a very simplistic composition of chocolate and love, which many can interpret as insensitive, and therefore his translated name became Joco. But the depiction of those thick lips have been used to portray stereotypical African Americans or just black people in media in a less flattering light. This is known as blackface. Many are offended by this outdated way of depicting black characters in media, and it's been phased out, and rightfully so. But as someone with decently thick lips and grew up around folk who watched Shaman King and really enjoyed his character. I believe it's a bit of a shame that they changed his design for the 2021 anime. I completely understand that from a marketing and commercial point of view, it had to be done, or Shaman King would literally get cancelled in many international markets. But the thick-lipped boys need some representation too, and I'm unsure why Muscle Punch from Ryu's gang did not have his lips changed. Although Chocolove is clearly stated to be African American, wearing attire that is not Western, so there are different connotations when it comes to him compared to Muscle Punch. My personal view is that Chocolove is not a deplorable character. He's a noble jaguar and has phenomenal, redeemable and lovable qualities. He is a hero, and I feel that him having thick lips is fine, knowing that he is a hero. It subverts the old views and would actually resemble the mantra quite well. Rage can never redeem. Only laughter can blow away the anger. So let's not be angry on the change either way. Chocolove wouldn't, so who cares? When it comes to the two versions of his character, who do you prefer? It seems from how deep, heavy and heart-wrenching Chocolove's true backstory is, as well as how he deals with the consequences of his past, it should be a no-brainer, right? That the 2021 version is superior. He has a more important role in the story. He's one of the 5 elemental warriors, and he starts to open up Serum's heart again, compared to the 2001 version, which has a very limited role to play in the story and becomes a background character quite fast. He saves Nyurai and his backstory is done within 2 minutes. So what is there about the 2001 version that's decent? I don't know. There's something I can't chuck away about that version. You might say it's nostalgia goggles, but what I want to reiterate is how perfect Chocolove's introduction was in the 2001 version. He just felt necessary because of how Lyserg's departure was adapted in 2009. When me and Chocolove, I was angry and felt betrayed because of Lyserg. I actually felt that Chocolove's display of slapstick comedy and how he contrasted with the super serious Ren and the other forms of comedy was just genius. Yes, we get something similar in 2021 and the character interactions are near enough identical, but the context is different. In 2021, it felt more abrupt. He suddenly appeared and it was very meh. Until you find out more about his story, until you find out more about the tragedy and the consequences that he has to endure, i.e. Serum and Redcept, whilst in the 2001 version, it felt more emotionally impactful to the audience and earned on his initial introduction. We get that on the opposite with the 2021 version, where by the end, midway at the end, he then feels very, very important. But 2001 was just a little slobber knocker, boom, right from the get-go. I like this guy. Remember, Chocolove wants to be the greatest comedian to spread laughter throughout the world. Now, there are infinite number of ways to make someone laugh, but for that reason, that makes him very free, because a comedian kind of behaves freely and their jokes can free someone else from the shackles of this world. That's why Chocolove is a perfect fit and all of his characteristics work within Yo's group. That's why Chocolove was chosen to be one of the 5 elemental warriors to free up and open up Hao's heart. So even though the deepness of Chocolove's character is far superior in the 2021 version in terms of story impact and power levels and a lot more, I have a soft spot for the 2001 version. Even though the team can't stand his terrible jokes, Yo absolutely loves them. Yo finds Chocolove hilarious, and so do we, and so do I. Make sure you subscribe to the Shaman Tribe.